Hello fellow sim racers. Build 3 of Assetto Corsa Competizione is here, bringing with it the much loved BMW M6 GT3, the much maligned circuit Paul Ricard, and much anticipated multiplayer action. Today's video takes a look at the new BMW because, well, it's much more interesting to make videos about cars. I'll admit that the M6 isn't my favourite GT3 car, and I had much more affection for the Z4 it replaced. But you know what? A car that's claimed victory at the 24 Hours of Spa 2 out of the 3 times it's competed there has to be taken seriously. And for me, it looked like the car to have at Bathurst this year as well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like it or loathe it, the M6 is a car that demands respect. The M6 continues Kunos' policy of including cars in the early access builds that weren't available in Assetto Corsa. And while I admit to being more interested in trying out the Jag or the NSX, it's nice to see such an important car included early on in the release schedule. But to start with, I didn't really like the way the M6 felt. Compared to the experience I had with the Bentley last month, which was instant joy, I'll admit I was pretty disappointed. Like a kid on Christmas morning, I jumped straight into a quick race with the M6 at Paul Ricard, and I really didn't know what to make of it. The car felt sluggish and floaty and generally lacking in grip at both ends. Compared to the very direct feeling Bentley, this was not what I had in mind. But then I gave it a try at Misano, and all of a sudden it clicked. The car felt great, agile, aggressive, and importantly, it only took a couple of laps to start putting in times that compared favourably to those that I'd set in the Hurricane and the Continental. To start with, I put this down to stock setups that favoured Misano with its tight corners and inviting curbs, and I think to some extent that may be true. But I also think that after spending a lot of time in the Bentley, I was overdriving the BMW to start with. And once I found a rhythm at a track that I had more experience with, the handling characteristics of the Beamer started to make a lot more sense. This is a car that seems to command a much more nuanced approach than the Bentley. The latter really doesn't mind if you disrespect it, but the M6 requires a more cooperative approach. And I suspect, when paired with a driver that can deliver the inputs the car almost demands, it will be lightning quick. So, what started as disappointment with the way the car felt quickly developed into an appreciation for the type of driving experience the BMW can deliver when you get it right. But more than that, this signifies something quite important for Assetto Corsa Competizione as a whole. When Build 2 was released in October, the difference in handling between the Hurricane and the Bentley was stark. But they are very different cars. The release of the M6 represents the first chance we've had to compare 2 cars of the same layout, as both the Continental and the new Beamer are front-engine rear-wheel drive. So the driving experience in the M6 being significantly different to that of the Bentley is actually pretty important. With the majority of GT3 cars being either front or mid-engined and rear-wheel drive, it would be all too easy for cars of the same layout to feel very similar to each other, which would make a game like ACC get dull quickly. But here we have 3 cars, 3 distinct personalities, and they all require different driving styles. This is a very good sign indeed. Something that's really impressed me thus far with Assetto Corsa Competizione is the sound, specifically its accuracy. And the M6 continues the already excellent work in this area. The Beamer isn't a big fan favourite when it comes to the noise, but the characteristic subdued engine note, ever-present transmission whine and the clacky upshifts are all really impressively represented in game. Sure, it doesn't sound like hellfire, but neither does the real thing. And I genuinely think I'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference between a good onboard recording in the real car and the M6 in-game in a proper blind test. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that the M6 isn't the sort of car that gets my blood racing in real life. But as a piece of machinery, it's something that really commands respect. And somehow, I think Kunos have managed to capture that in their Assetto Corsa Competizione representation. Sure, maybe that's me projecting my emotions onto a bunch of lines of code, but that's how I've experienced this car. The Bentley urged me to keep driving one more lap because it was riotous fun, but the M6 keeps me driving because I'm compelled to drive it just that little bit better. And that's a big problem with making these videos. At some point, I have to tear myself away from the driving to start cutting footage together. It's a hard life. Now, I can't really complete the video without talking about the other side of the coin. There are still issues with ACC. The graphics aren't all that well optimised yet, multiplayer's limited and buggy, and VR in particular still needs work. But it's early access. That's what we signed up for by agreeing to participate in the program. For me, Kunos are doing an excellent job in incrementally improving the game with each build, and as far as I'm concerned, everything is progressing as it should. I respect that some others don't share that opinion, but I'd rather use my time and energy to highlight what's great about the game than complain about things that will almost certainly be fixed by release date. So that's just about it for my first look at the BMW M6. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you think the video will be helpful for others, then please consider sharing it. As always, thank you for donating your precious free time by watching. It is very much appreciated. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.